Hello and welcome to the Change MakerZ podcast, a student-run podcast talking about activism, politics, and Gen Z. I am your host this week, Ryan Caricofe, and today I am talking with Xaiver Williams. Hello. Xaiver, how are you doing today?
Doing all right.
Well, it's great to have you here. So Xaiver, a little bit about yourself. You are a music education major, correct?
I am. Yep.
And you're part of the Honors College?
Part of the Honors College, yes.
Can you talk a little bit about how you got involved with the Honors College?
That's a great question. So when I came to JMU, I initially did not want to be a part of the Honors College. I did the International Baccalaureate program in high school and didn't want to go through the academic rigor really anymore. I knew I was going to get that from being a music major. It's like, do I really want to add another academic rigorous load onto that? So I met Dr. Alicia Davis, who's a part of the Honors College faculty, and she cornered me at a Madison Vision series, and she's like, I see what you're doing on campus, why are you not in honors? And I told her, I just don't want to do all that extra work, and she was able to bring an honors student that was currently in the music, School of Music, but then also in the Honors College, and we talked, and by the time I left her office, I was applying to be in the Honors College. So here I am, now 2 years later. I started joining the Honors College my sophomore year, so it was great.
And you're working on your Honors College capstone project.
Yes, a lot of work going into that. So my Honors capstone is kind of the mixture of two different kind of requirements. I'm doing the traditional thesis, but I'm also doing the creative side of that project. The traditional side, I'm doing a lot of research and study into really what helps young black males that are in our K-12 system around the Commonwealth of Virginia succeed in education. And what you'll normally see is a lot of research has shown that students that are not necessarily reading on grade level by the third grade are behind. They're more likely to end up in the criminal justice system. They're more likely to drop out of college. They're most likely to do all of these different things besides succeed. And so that kind of held me to the standard of, okay, well, what is really the way to kind of bring some solution to this problem? And so I went on the creative side, and I actually started a podcast called Redefine Ed, which stands for Redefine Education. And I traveled the state of Virginia meeting with different black male educators that are principals, that are superintendents, that are current teachers, trying to ask the question, how do we redefine education to help these young black males actually succeed in the classroom? So it's a mixture of both the research, but also the creative opportunity. And the conversations have been rich. I never went into this trying to say, I'm going to find the solution. Rather, I wanted to bring and highlight voices of black men who can understand what these black male students are going through, but also be a part of the kind of collaborative think tank of how we can truly kind of reverse some of that statistics I was seeing in the research.
What would you say is the most important thing that you've learned in the process of doing your honors capstone project?
The beauty of relationships. I can tell you, I mean, I was interviewing, black male educators that are part of, primarily Title I schools, meaning, a lot of those students are on free reduced lunch. I was interviewing individuals that are in more wealthier and well-supported school divisions. And so a lot of what their responses were throughout the podcast and even throughout the research was that relationships are at the foundation of making sure that these students are successful, and even kind of building relationships to be able to work with some of these black male educators. It is very difficult kind of in the world that we're living in now to be able to go into a conversation such as this and say, tell me how we can help black male students succeed, when our goal in education is to help all students succeed. And so it's not necessarily to isolate one group, but to be able to support a group that is significantly behind their counterparts in the classroom.
Do you see this project going anywhere after you've wrapped up with the Honors College and moving on from JMU?
Yeah, so I will graduate very soon, but the goal is to go and do my master's in higher ed administration. And I think I definitely see the podcast continuing. We started with a K-12 focus. I definitely can see that going into a higher ed focus kind of later down the road. But at the end of the day, the goal is to make sure we have the productive and the meaningful conversation of how do we redefine education to be able to support students that are significantly failing in the education system.
Mm-hmm. In addition to the Honors College, you are also the student representative for the Board of Visitors here at JMU.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about what that entails and how you came into that position?
Yeah, so the university, or majority of the universities, or all the universities in Virginia, have what we call a Board of Visitors, some more commonly known as Board of Trustees or Board of Governors, whatever case may be. They are in charge and appointed by the governor of the Commonwealth to basically focus on the governance of the university. They hire the president, they set the tuition and fees, they are in charge of approving new majors and minors that are at the program at the university. And so they have a very important role on the campus of kind of making sure that whatever the mission and vision of the university, it is actually being accomplished. I kind of fell into that role. I wasn't on the traditional kind of route of, being public policy administration or political science or an SGA. I was just a student in the School of Music that was really passionate about being able to support and be a voice for not only those that were connected to me, but those that really probably didn't have a voice at the university. And I was really inspired by Norman Jones, who was the former student rep prior to when I came in. And I admired what he was doing and kind of the areas that he was making a big difference for the university. And I said I wouldn't mind doing that. So I ran, and my focus was to really just kind of be present with the student body and advocate and be a voice for some of the concerns that students had on our campus. And I was really blessed and fortunate to be in this role for 2 years now. So slowly transitioning off. Last board meeting's coming up soon, but I am blessed to say that I think the university has blessed me as much as I hope I've been able to be a blessing to it.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me a little bit what it's like to be, a younger person in a on this board of group of people who are much older, who are probably a bit more disconnected from what the thoughts and feelings of the average everyday student is? Yeah,
primarily our board is filled with individuals who are alum of the university. And so a lot of their thoughts are, when I was here at JMU, this is what we did, or, this is kind of the traditions that we had. And my role is to come in and to be the bridge between the board and the students, to be a bridge between the students and the administration. But then also what I think is important, being a bridge between student leaders and the board and the administration. It's kind of like this pyramid approach to what I think about student leadership, or being kind of the student rep to the board. The interesting part of that, though, is, you have to build a relationship to where, one, they will be able to listen to you and actually understand that the concerns you're bringing are valuable concerns, but two, kind of being able to seek the middle ground of understanding kind of what their perspectives are, and also including my perspectives in that vision of getting to the same achieved goal. I think about it from the perspective of, we are all here at the university trying to achieve one thing, and that's to make sure JMU is the best university that we all believe it can and is. However, my role is now to say, based on the student body that is here now and the student body that will come after, these are the things that we hope the university will do to continue to support the students that are here now and that will come. And their role is to kind of sit back and say, well, students say they love, the counseling center or whatever the case may be. We need to make sure we're investing into that. Or students are saying we need more mental health resources, so we need to invest into that. My role is to be able to communicate that concern or that light that the student body has, and make sure it hopefully comes to fruition.
Mm-hmm. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about your role as a bridge, specifically in regards to activism among JMU students. Has there ever been a time where there have been a movement or a loud calling from JMU students for a specific thing, like more mental health programs or stuff along that line, that you've had to bring to the board of visitors and things like that?
Absolutely. I can give you two accounts. So when I first started in the role, I was student rep elect. I wasn't even really fully transitioned yet. There was a moment where especially, all the Black Lives Matter protests were going on, and a lot of students were, pushing the university to really focus on their racial equity and their social justice, and really trying to feel supported on the campus. And so Norman Jones and a few other Black student leaders, a part of the Black Leadership Coalition, came together and they formed a protest where we started at Madison Union and then walked all the way to the festival lawn. And Norman said, you're going to be the student rep next year. You need to speak at this event. And of course, I had my own feelings as a black male on JMU's campus, but also needed to kind of think about really what would my role be as now the new student leader that's coming into that. And so it was more of trying to understand, one, what the university was trying to do, but two, then also try to figure out and understand what the students were actually requesting, because then that then helps me be able to gauge what the conversation really needs to be like. When I actually served into the role, I was serving with Jasani Collier at the time, the former student body president. A lot of these suicides and things were happening on campus, and mind you, also the Bridgewater shooting took place at the same time. And so there was so much going on at the university that people were really looking to the administration. I would even say Jasani and I to say, what are we actually going to do? Like, we cannot succeed and thrive in this environment anymore. And so it's really that moment of you've got to be in a space where you have the relationships and you're having the conversations to be able to understand what does that next step need to look like. And as the student, it's sometimes difficult because you have your own perspective and you have your own thought process of how things need to be, and so does the administration. The problem or the solution then becomes, how do we sit down and find the middleman of that? And and I think we've done that a little bit. There's some things I wish would be a little bit different, but I think we've made some progress in both of those areas, actually.
Mm-hmm. So you already stated that you are graduating pretty soon. Is there anything you'd want to say to the person who's going to be filling your role in the near future?
Yeah, so I'm really excited. Student body elected Abigail Canella to be the next student rep, and we've started the process already of kind of helping get her onboarded, and there's a lot to learn when you are stepping into a role such as this, only because you've got to learn about the governance of the university. You've got to learn and build those relationships with the administration, but now you are the sole representative of over 22,000 students, and that is a lot. And so, one of the things that I've shared with her and that I would continue to give her advice on is, remember your why for being in this role. Because there will be conversations that you're a part of and you're like, we got absolutely nowhere. Or there'll be moments where you are so passionate about something and it's coming to fruition and you're trying to work hard for it. But remember why you applied. Remember why you ran to be the student rep. And I think that is the thing that has helped me be successful and kind of navigate these different conversations with board members, with administrators, with legislators, with students, with faculty members. This is the reason why I ran to be the student rep. And if it's not supporting that why, we need to redefine and relook at really what we're doing. So that would be my encouragement to her. Remember why.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Xaiver. I've really appreciated you coming down here today. Yes.
Absolutely.
That's all we have for you today on this episode of the Change MakerZ podcast. Tune in this Sunday for our next episode.